We're about to dive into a teaching from Zen Master Magojo that is so profound it might just flip how you see everything, reality, suffering, and what it even means to be free.
So let me just start with a question that gets right to the heart of this. What if the path to awakening isn't about getting rid of all the bad stuff to find some perfect state somewhere else? What if it's all right here? I mean, the frustrations, the joy, the total confusion. What if all of it is the teaching itself?
So here's how we're going to break this down. First, we'll hit the main idea, that everything is the Buddha's teaching. Then, we'll look at the mental trap that keeps us from seeing it. We'll dig into the mind as the source of that trap, figure out how to move beyond it, and finally, see how all of this turns simple knowledge into real, living wisdom.
All right, let's start with the most foundational, and honestly, the most radical idea. This is really the bedrock of Magojo's whole perspective.
Now, I want to be really clear here. Magojo isn't being poetic. He means this literally. He's saying that everything, the beautiful, the ugly, the physical stuff, the formless thoughts, is already enlightenment. Liberation isn't some prize you win at the end of a long, hard fight. It's the very fabric of this moment, right now. There's just nowhere else you need to look.
Okay, so that immediately brings up a big question, doesn't it? If everything is already liberation, why do I so often feel stuck, or anxious, or just incomplete? Well, Magojo has an answer for that. It's because our minds are caught in what you could call the trap of two.
You know, our minds are basically sorting machines. All day long, they're just slicing up reality. This is good, that's bad. This is me, that's you. This is spiritual, that's not. We create all these opposites, and then we spend our lives chasing one and running from the other. And that just creates this constant grinding conflict. But from Magojo's point of view, these are all false divisions. They're just different flavors of one single seamless reality.
Here's a really powerful way to picture this. Just imagine that your mind, your deep core awareness, is the vast open sky. And all your thoughts, your feelings, your experiences, they're just clouds. They float in, drift through, and eventually they dissolve. They're never actually separate from the sky, and they can't possibly harm or stain it. The only time we get into trouble is when we forget we're the sky and we start believing we're one of the little passing clouds.
So, to really get a handle on this trap of duality, we have to go right to the source. And that source isn't out there in the world somewhere. It's right here, inside the nature of our own mind.
There's this classic Buddhist text called The Awakening of Faith that gives us a fantastic model for this. It basically says our mind has two different doors or modes that it operates through. And how we experience everything depends entirely on which door is open at the time. So on one side, you've got mind Suchness. This is our true, original nature. Think of it like a perfect mirror. It just reflects whatever is in front of it. No judgment, no clinging. And then there's the other door, the mind of arising and ceasing. This is our everyday, chattering, thinking mind. It doesn't just reflect things, it grabs them, it labels them, it judges them, and it creates this whole world of separation and problems. And here's the kicker. We spend almost all of our time living through this second door. Okay, so if we get this, what are we supposed to do about it? Well, the goal isn't to just blow up the thinking mind and live in some kind of empty haze. The path is actually way more interesting and engaged than that. It's the path of what's called a bodhisattva.
This quote just says it all, really. The path isn't about escaping the messy world of our thoughts and feelings. You don't reject your life, your job, your relationships, but you also don't get lost in some abstract idea of the absolute, just checked out from everything. You learn to live right in the middle, totally engaged, but totally free.
But how is that even possible? Well, there's this beautiful analogy of the moon on the water. An enlightened person's actions are just like that moon's reflection. The image is vivid, it's clear, it's obviously there, but it doesn't actually disturb the water. It doesn't cling to it, and when the moon moves, the reflection is just gone. It leaves no trace. That is what non-attached action looks like.
Following this path eventually leads to this really profound final transformation. It's the difference between knowing all the steps to the dance and actually dancing. It's the shift from just having knowledge to embodying true wisdom.
See, when we're stuck in that dualistic mind, our knowing is just knowledge, a big pile of facts and concepts that we're always chasing. But when we wake up to our true nature, the very substance of that knowing gets transformed into wisdom. It's not a different thing. It's the same mind, just seeing clearly now. The information didn't change,
but the one doing the knowing has.
And this, right here, is the ultimate payoff. Awakening isn't some big, bloody battle where you have to defeat your ignorance. It's much simpler. It's like the sun rising. When the sun of wisdom comes up, the shadows of confusion and suffering don't put up a fight. They simply disappear. The presence of light is the absence of darkness.
So we end up right back where we started, but hopefully with a totally new perspective. What Majo teaches is that the walls in our lives, the obstacles, the frustrations, they're only walls because our thinking mind says they are. In reality, they're just part of the seamless flow of everything. So the final question is really for you. Knowing that the walls are just an illusion of your mind, what imaginary wall are you going to walk right through today?